It began quietly. The chapel sat at the edge of town, surrounded by weeping trees and a crooked iron fence. It was the kind of place that felt untouched by time. The floors creaked like old bones. The windows moaned with every wind, and dust hung in the air like forgotten prayers. She joined the choir because it felt safe, familiar, a place to rebuild after everything else had fallen apart. He worked behind the scenes, fixed broken lights, swept the floors, kept the place running when no one else was around. They barely spoke at first, just glances, brief, heavy moments in the stillness between hymns and echoes. They were both lonely in different ways, and sometimes, when two lost people find each other in a quiet place, they cling without meaning to. She would stay behind after rehearsals, sitting at the old organ with keys that stuck and pedals that wheezed. He would linger to pretending to be busy, tightening bolts that didn't need tightening, fixing things that weren't broken. There was no plan, no big moment, just silence, and then something more. But the chapel felt different after that. Not immediately, but soon. The air grew heavier. The shadows seemed to move in ways they hadn't before, and the silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It felt like it was waiting. One evening, long after the sun had set and everyone else had gone home, she was alone at the front pew reading from an old hymn. The air had a chill to it, even though the heaters were on. She looked up and caught her reflection in the small mirror beside the altar. But it wasn't her reflection. It was someone or something standing behind her, tall, motionless, watching. When she turned around, the space was empty, but the mirror had cracked. From that night on, strange things began to happen. Hymn books were found torn open, always on the same page. Psalm 51, a prayer for cleansing, a cry for forgiveness. The stained glass windows started to fog over from the inside, as if someone were breathing too close. Candles burned lower than usual. The old bell above the steeple rang once at midnight without anyone pulling the rope. He started avoiding the place altogether, but she stayed. She said the music was the only thing keeping her grounded, that she felt like the walls were listening. But she wasn't afraid. Not yet. The final Sunday was the coldest of the year. She arrived early, dressed in white. Her voice carried through the empty chapel as she practiced the opening verse of Ave Maria. It was beautiful, too beautiful, the kind of sound that makes you forget to breathe. The moment she reached the final note, the lights above flickered and died. Every candle snuffed out. A cold wind swept through the chapel, even though no door had opened. The next thing anyone remembers is the smoke. They say the fire started near the altar. That faulty wiring lit the curtains, and the old wood caught quickly. But those who were there say the fire burned silently, without crackling or flames. Just smoke, heavy and dark. She was found on the choir steps and touched, still singing. He was never found. No one knows where he went or if he left at all. Some believe he never really existed. Others say he's still there, trapped behind the old bricks when they sealed the chapel shut. Years later, the building still stands. People avoid it. They say if you walk by on a winter evening, especially when the wind is still, you can hear the faint sound of a hymn, sung by a voice that's too soft to be remembered but too haunting to forget.